Hello, my gentlemen. When it comes to female orgasms, most men, especially those over 50, don't dare to admit one thing. They don't really understand it. And it's not because they don't care. It's because no one has ever taught them. Not in school, not in everyday conversations, and definitely not through adult films, because most of what we see there is misleading and unclear. Here's the thing. Women don't just have one type of orgasm. And if you think, just get to it and get it done, then you're missing out on an important part of sexual life. Not just for her, but for yourself as well. I'm a sex health counselor with over 20 years of experience, working primarily with older men and long-term couples. And I can tell you this, when a man truly understands a woman's body and her needs, everything changes. The relationship becomes more connected, she becomes happier, and you become more confident in the bedroom and in everyday life. In this video, I'll guide you to understand what a female orgasm really is and how it happens, the 6 most common types of orgasms a woman can experience, and how you can support her in reaching them naturally without pressure and without force. I'm not promising you'll become an expert after just one video, but I guarantee if you understand what I'm about to share today and start applying it little by little, you'll feel the difference. By the way, where are you watching this video from? Drop your state or country in the comments below. I'd really love to know who's joining me on this journey. If you find this topic helpful and want to keep learning practical knowledge, don't forget to hit like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Your support is the motivation that keeps me going and sharing more valuable content. Now, to begin this journey, we need to understand something clearly. An orgasm isn't just a moment, it's a process, a physiological and emotional process that works in close coordination. So without taking too much of your time, let's start with the first scientific foundation: how an orgasm actually happens in a woman's body. Part 1. What does a female orgasm feel like, and how does it actually work? Before diving into the different types of orgasms, there's one core idea you need to understand. An orgasm isn't just an intense feeling. It's a complex chain of physiological and neurological reactions that unfold in 4 main stages. This model was first described by researchers Masters and Johnson back in the 1960s, and to this day, it remains a foundational framework in sexual health science. Stage 1, excitement. When arousal begins, the body reacts almost instantly. Heart rate increases, breathing becomes quicker. Blood flows to the lower sensitive areas, making them softer, warmer, and more responsive. This is the first sign that the body is getting ready. Stage 2, plateau. If the stimulation is maintained correctly, the sensations continue to build and become more intense. Sensitive areas grow even more responsive. At this point, gentle attention and careful interaction are crucial because even a small misstep can disrupt the entire process. Stage 3, orgasm. This is the peak moment. The lower core muscles contract rhythmically and involuntarily. Some women may tremble, gasp, or express emotion freely and uncontrollably. During this phase, the body releases 2 major hormones: dopamine, which brings a rush of pleasure, and oxytocin, which deepens emotional connection and intimacy. This is why, after a meaningful experience, many women report feeling more in love, more trusting, and more emotionally connected to their partner. Stage 4, resolution. After the climax, the body returns to its normal state. But unlike men, women don't need a long recovery time. If properly cared for, they can remain aroused and reach climax again, sometimes multiple times in a row. Once you understand this mechanism, it becomes much easier to notice where she is in the process, and to know when to continue, when to slow down, and when to pause so that she feels completely safe and comfortable. Now that you've got a solid biological foundation, let's move on to the most important part: the 6 different types of pleasure responses a woman may experience, and how you can recognize and support her in fully enjoying them. Part 2. Surface-level pleasure response, awakening through external contact. Among the different sensations a woman may experience during intimacy, the most common and easily recognizable one comes from the external sensitive area, located just in front, above the central entry point. So why is this area so important? Biologically speaking, it contains a high concentration of sensory nerves, more than any other part of the female body. Some sources report over 8,000 nerve endings converging here, twice as many as in the most sensitive male areas. That means even the lightest, properly applied touch can create a powerful effect. The right approach. Many men think the faster and stronger the better. But in truth, what women need in this area is finesse and patience. Imagine tuning an old-fashioned radio. One gentle adjustment and everything becomes clear. Same here. Small circular motions, moderate pace, and observing her responses will guide you in the right direction. You can use your hands or your lips, but it's important to avoid too much friction or touching directly too soon. Let everything unfold slowly. A study from Indiana University showed that with proper stimulation in this area, many women can reach climax in as little as 5 to 7 minutes. How to recognize it? If she starts changing her breathing rhythm, arches her back slightly, or unconsciously reaches for connection, those are signs you're on the right path. These subtle gestures are the body's natural feedback when emotions are rising. One thing to keep in mind: don't rush to the next stage the moment you notice a positive reaction. Especially for women in midlife and beyond, maintaining a steady pace and emotional safety is even more important than technique. This external zone isn't a magic button, but when approached with care and precision, it can be a key to building a deeper emotional connection between you and your partner. Next, we'll move into the second type of response, one that originates from deeper inside. It's something not everyone has experienced, but with the right approach, you may help her unlock a whole new layer of sensation. And if you're still watching at this point, I'm truly glad you're enjoying the topic. Drop a number 2 in the comments so I know you're still with me. If you found this video helpful, feel free to share it with others who might appreciate it too. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the practical insights I'll be sharing next. Part 3. Deep internal pleasure response. Not all women are aware of this kind of sensation, and even those who have experienced it may not recognize it clearly. But if you understand it properly and approach it the right way, the pleasure that comes from deep internal stimulation can offer an entirely different experience, richer, deeper, and longer lasting. Where is this deep stimulation point located? Several studies have shown that inside the female body, about 2 to 3 centimeters in from the entrance, on the front wall, which is the upper side if the woman is lying on her back, there's a soft, sponge-like area that's more sensitive than the surrounding tissue. Some scientists refer to it as the G-spot, though the term is still debated in medical literature. Regardless of the name, what matters is that this area can respond intensely when stimulated correctly. Many women describe it as a wave rising from within, completely different from the sensations felt on the surface. How to approach it properly? If using your fingers, insert 2 fingers gently and curl them slightly upward, as if signaling, "Come here." Keep a rhythmic motion and watch her body's response. If she arches her back, presses downward, or lets out soft sounds, chances are you found the right spot. Positions that tilt the body forward may also allow better contact with this area. But don't expect an immediate reaction. Every woman has a different level of sensitivity and comfort. A key reminder: not every woman can feel this spot clearly or enjoys deep stimulation. That's why gentle communication is essential. Ask for her preferences or simply observe. Emotional comfort and mental relaxation will determine at least 80% of whether this type of response is successful. According to a study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, couples who communicate openly and experiment gently with this area tend to report significantly higher satisfaction, especially in long-term relationships. This deep sensitive zone is not just a biological feature. When approached with care, it can become a powerful emotional touchpoint, one that only trust and subtle connection can unlock. Next, we'll move into an area rarely talked about, yet one with strong potential when approached correctly: the pleasure response from the indirect stimulation zone at the back. Part 4. Pleasure response from the indirect stimulation zone at the back. This type of response is rarely mentioned, and for many people, it may seem entirely unfamiliar. But from the perspective of modern medical and psychological understanding, activating pleasure from the back zone, when done correctly, safely, and with mutual consent, can offer a completely different, surprisingly deep experience. Why does this area have the potential to create pleasure? Neurobiology shows that the back area, near the anus and perineum, is closely linked to the female reproductive system, particularly through a network of nerves located around the pelvic floor. When stimulated indirectly, these nerves can generate sensations that radiate toward the central area and even reach the emotional neural pathways. Unlike familiar external points, the response from this zone isn't triggered by surface-level stimulation. Instead, it arises from gentle, consistent pressure, combined with deep relaxation and a strong sense of emotional safety. The most important condition: complete comfort and trust. Because this is a highly sensitive area, the body will often tighten or resist if there's any anxiety or pressure involved. That's why, if you and your partner are curious about exploring this response, the first step is clear communication, explicit consent, and proper mental preparation. How to approach it safely. If you decide to explore, start with gentle external contact. Using appropriate lubricant is essential to reduce friction and ensure comfort. No rushing, no pressure. Observation and listening are key. A 2020 study from the University of Michigan revealed that women over 50 who engaged in consensual exploration of this zone often described the experience as a slow, deep wave flowing through the entire body, especially when paired with emotional elements like tenderness, gentle touch, and mutual eye contact. Important reminder: not everyone is interested in this type of stimulation, and that's completely normal. This isn't a skill that must be mastered. It's simply a personal choice. What matters most is that both partners feel safe, comfortable, and open during the process of exploration. Next, we'll talk about a very unique type of response, one that can occur without any contact to the central area, yet can lead to surprisingly powerful sensations: the full-body sensory response. Part 5. Full-body sensory response. What makes the chest area such a powerful trigger point? Modern neuroscience has shown that the female nipples are neurologically connected to the same region of the brain responsible for processing genital sensations. In other words, when you gently stimulate the chest area, especially using slow, steady, and delicate rhythm, the brain can respond just as if the central intimate area were being touched. According to a study from Rutgers University in the US, nipple stimulation activates the exact same brain region as genital stimulation. This means that for some women, with just the right level of emotional connection and physical sensitivity, a climax can occur without any direct contact to the genitals at all. What's the most effective way to approach this? Gentleness is key. With your hands, your breath, or your lips, you can create a warm and soothing sensation. Pair that with eye contact, kind words, and your full attention on the present moment, and all of it signals to her body that she is safe, valued, and open to receiving. Instead of viewing this as just a body part to be touched, think of it as an emotional tool. a way to express connection, care, and affection. When a woman feels truly appreciated, this area becomes more responsive all on its own. What can happen? Some women can experience strong physical responses from upper body stimulation alone, and it's not as rare as you might think. Even if it doesn't lead to a climax, the soft, soothing sensation you create plays an important role in building a deep, emotional bond. Interestingly, this type of response is often more prominent in women over midlife, who tend to prioritize emotional intimacy over speed or technique. Next, we'll move into a combined response, where two sources of stimulation work together, creating a much more intense and unforgettable experience. The blended pleasure response, triggered by simultaneous contact with two sensory zones. Are you still with me? If you are, drop a number 2 in the comments so I know you're following along. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll be happy to respond. If you found this video helpful, share it with someone who might enjoy it too. And don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more practical, insightful content. Part 6. Blended pleasure response from simultaneous stimulation of two sensory zones. Some moments of pleasure come from a single point of contact, but sometimes simultaneous stimulation of two different sensory zones creates a far more powerful response, doubling the emotional intensity, deepening the experience, and making it more memorable. This type of response is often called the blended orgasm, and it occurs when two sensory areas, usually one external and one internal, are stimulated together in a harmonious and rhythmic way. What's the neurological mechanism behind this phenomenon? The brain processes pleasure through a complex network of neural centers. When two separate regions send signals to the emotional core of the brain at the same time, the response level surges, like two currents converging into a larger wave. The result is a sensation that isn't just stronger, it spreads throughout the entire body. The most common example, stimulating the external sensitive area at the same time as the deep internal zone. When done correctly, the woman's body may respond with clear signs: a slight contraction in the lower abdomen, interrupted breathing, or sometimes uncontrollable trembling. This is completely natural, and it shows that her nervous system is highly activated. What's the most effective approach? Coordination here doesn't mean two people doing two things. It means one man paying attention to her whole body at once. Your hands may handle one part while your body movement supports the other. Most importantly, keep the rhythm. Don't try to do everything at once without observing. Some couples may use light supporting tools to help maintain steady pace. But even more important is your presence, your eye contact, your whispers, or simply holding her hand more tightly as the emotions rise. Your full presence is what makes this response so meaningful. According to a survey published in the Journal of Sexual Health, couples who experimented with blended stimulation and communicated beforehand reported over 70% higher satisfaction than those who focused only on a single area. Blended responses are not a higher level. They're simply a deeper experience, one that only happens when you're patient enough to listen to her body and resist the urge to rush. And finally, we'll explore a rare but very real kind of response, one where the woman's body releases emotion intensely, sometimes unexpectedly. The full body release response. Part 7. Full body release response. In some cases, when emotional connection and physical stimulation reach a peak, a woman's body may react by releasing a strong flow of fluid. This is a natural phenomenon, once the subject of debate for many years, but now recognized in medical science as a deep, full body release response. It's completely harmless and not a sign of any medical issue. When the deep internal zone, especially the front wall, is stimulated steadily and correctly, the Skene's glands, located near the urethra, can release a clear, odorless fluid, sometimes with noticeable pressure. This process is often accompanied by a sense of tightness, followed by emotional relief and deep relaxation. It's not urine, as some mistakenly believe. It's a physiological reaction triggered when both the emotional and sexual nervous systems reach their peak together. The important thing to remember is that not every woman has this type of response, and if it doesn't happen, that's completely normal. On the other hand, if it does, your calm reaction, your understanding, and not acting surprised can help her feel safe and respected. That emotional safety is key to building trust and maintaining connection in intimate relationships. The best approach is to take things slowly. Start with open, gentle communication, followed by steady, rhythmic movements, while observing and listening to her body. If you notice signs like rapid breathing, light tension in the lower abdomen, or gentle trembling in her legs, these may indicate that she's entering the full body release state. You can support her by keeping a steady rhythm, avoiding sudden changes, and maintaining connection, whether through eye contact or simply holding her hand. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine reported that around 15% of adult women have experienced this phenomenon at least once in their lives. Most often in long-term, trusting relationships where emotional understanding was strong. However, it's also important to note, this should never be seen as a goal or expectation. If you treat it like something that must happen, you may unintentionally create pressure. But if you let it unfold naturally, it may become one of the most meaningful and memorable experiences. Emotional connection, patience, and a welcoming attitude are the true keys. Because in every form of pleasure response, emotional safety is what allows the body to fully open up. If you followed along this far, chances are you agree. Understanding a woman's body and emotions doesn't just improve your intimate life. It strengthens the relationship and builds a lasting, genuine bond. The 6 pleasure responses we've explored together aren't techniques to memorize. They're insights, meant to help you listen, observe, and connect with the woman beside you in a deeper, more natural way. Every woman's experience is different, and the most important element isn't technique, it's the real connection between two human beings. And remember, there is no age that's too late to learn, to adjust your approach, or to refresh your emotional and physical connection. When you care enough, stay patient enough, and truly listen, her body and emotions will always respond in a positive, beautiful way. If you found this kind of content helpful, feel free to leave a quick comment below. Even just a simple greeting or thought. You can also hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. Because we all deserve a fulfilling emotional and intimate life at any age.